My little brother Tim is 16, and he's a skinny, short kid. On the flip side, I'm Jake, 2 years older at 18, and I've always been the tall, strong one in our family. Our folks recently got new jobs at a nearby health center. They were super busy and their schedules were all over the place. Because of this, Tim and I were home alone a lot. We were okay with it. But one particular day, I had a school camp that I wanted to attend. It was organized by one of my school clubs in a neighboring town. I was really keen to go because most of my buddies were going too. I didn't want to tell our parents about this camp trip because I felt that at 18, I didn't need to ask them about everything. But looking back, that might have been a pretty dumb move on my part. Evening came and Mom and Dad headed out to work. I started packing and told Tim about the camp. He wasn't too happy about being left alone, but he could see how pumped I was about the trip. He promised he'd be fine and wouldn't spill the beans to our folks about me going away. Before heading out, I felt bad about leaving him. So I thought of a plan. I remembered my friend Lucy had mentioned she was looking to earn some extra cash babysitting. I quickly shot her a text explaining the situation. She said she'd be happy to keep an eye on Tim. I told Tim that Lucy would be coming over and he should let her in when she arrives. Feeling a bit better, but still with a twinge of guilt, I waited for my ride. I left the house before Lucy could even get there. That night, while I was busy setting up my camp stuff, I saw a bunch of messages from Tim on my phone. I thought they were just the usual silly videos he sends me, so I brushed them off. But then, around midnight, my phone rang. It was Tim. I quietly answered, not wanting to disturb the other campers. But my heart sank when I heard his scared voice and the sound of him sobbing on the other end. My little brother Tim was on the other end of the line, but all I heard was silence for what felt like the longest time. I shouted into the phone, "Hey, who's this? Tim, is that you? You okay?" After what felt like forever, Tim finally whispered, "Jake, there are strangers in the house. They're looking for Lucy, I think. She's hiding, but they know I'm here. I'm really, really scared." My first thought was, is this some kind of joke? But hearing Tim's frightened voice, I realized this wasn't one of his pranks. "Tim," I said, trying to keep calm, "find a safe spot to hide and call the police. Now!" But as I was talking, I heard a loud bang like a gunshot. Then there were shouts and more noise. My heart raced. "Jake!" Tim cried out. "Come home, please, and call Mom and Dad." Without wasting any more time, I rang our parents. I quickly explained the situation, trying not to panic. They were alarmed and worried. I told them to rush home. I looked around for a teacher, anyone who could help. I found Mr. Harris, explained the situation, and begged him to drive me home. He could see I was terrified and agreed immediately. When we finally reached our street, it looked like a scene from a movie. Blue and red lights were flashing everywhere. There were so many police cars and even ambulances. Thankfully, Tim was safe, but he looked pale and shaken up. I hugged him tight, apologizing over and over. Our parents were furious with me for leaving him alone, and I couldn't blame them. To this day, I still don't really know why those strangers were in our house. The police never found them. We only had some damage to our home, bullet holes mostly. This whole thing taught me to be super careful about who I trust, especially when Tim's around. If there's any more news, I'll share. But given how small our town is and the local police's track record, I'm not too hopeful. Just remember, folks, things don't always go as planned. Sometimes being self-centered can put those you care about in danger. That's the lesson I learned the hard way. This story happened a long time ago, but even thinking about it now still makes me really scared. When I was about 9, my auntie Sarah and my uncle Bob came to live with us. They had some problems with doing bad stuff and taking bad things. I always liked my auntie, but I was a little scared of my uncle. He looked very skinny, like he didn't eat much, probably because of the bad stuff he took. He had a bald head and many tattoos that weren't nice to look at. Some of these tattoos had mean words and pictures on them. He also had a lot of teeth that were either missing or looked bad. Most times he seemed like he had taken some drinks or bad stuff. I didn't think he was good with kids like me. One time, when the sun had gone down, my mom and my auntie, Sarah, went out somewhere. This left my uncle, Bob, in the house with us. Usually, my twin sister, Lily, and I would look after ourselves and our younger brother, Jack. We were young, but we knew how to take care of things better than my uncle did. So, Lily and I were sitting in the main room just talking and spending time. Jack was upstairs sleeping. Suddenly, Uncle Bob came out of his room, which was just next to the main room we were in. He looked at us, but it seemed like he didn't know who we were. We weren't really scared of him, but we also didn't want to do what he told us. Then he told us to leave the main room, but we wanted to watch the TV there because there wasn't one in our room. I think I told him something like, "Why can't you just watch your own TV?" That probably made him mad. He went back into his room for a bit. I thought maybe he was just going to watch his TV. But no, he came back holding one of his pillows. I didn't understand why he had it, but in a few seconds he was right next to me and he pushed me down on our couch. He then put the pillow over my face. It was so scary. My heart was racing so fast I couldn't breathe. I tried to push him away, but I couldn't. I remember trying to use my hands to make him let go, but I had very short nails, so I couldn't scratch him or anything. I felt like I was going to pass out because I couldn't breathe. Then I heard Lily screaming really loudly. Just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the pressure of the pillow went away. I sat up, taking deep breaths, trying to get as much air as I could. I was so scared and so glad it was over. Lily quickly jumped on Uncle Bob's back to stop him, but Uncle Bob pushed her away and he was breathing hard. He looked really mad. Then he quickly left our house, shouting mean words at us. We quickly closed the big door made of glass and locked it. We were so scared and we cried a lot. We sat close to each other in the main room for comfort. After crying, we felt tired, and soon we slept there, hugging each other. It felt safe when we were close. Sometime later, we woke up because we heard the main door unlocking. We thought maybe it's Mom, so we ran to the door to see her. Mom and Auntie Sarah came inside, but they both looked like they drank a lot and were laughing and not walking straight. Even though we knew they wouldn't be able to help much, Lily told Mom everything that happened. Mom, even though she had drunk a lot, was very sweet. She hugged us and told us she loved us. That was special because she didn't say it often. Then they sat with us in the main room. They still had some drinks and they put on a scary movie on the TV. They even gave us a tiny bit of their drink to try. I know we were young, but we just wanted to try it. Later, when it was really dark, we heard loud banging on the big glass door. It was Uncle Bob. He wanted to come inside, but Auntie Sarah, even though she was not walking straight, went to the door and shouted at him. She told him to stay outside for the night. He listened to her and went away. Uncle Bob didn't come home for the next 3 days, but when he came back, he acted like nothing bad happened. He also didn't talk to us much. I want to tell everyone, just because someone is family, it doesn't mean they're always good. You should always be careful. Just because someone is related doesn't mean they won't hurt you. This might not seem too scary for some people, but for me, it was one of the most terrifying things that ever happened. If Lily hadn't helped, I think Uncle Bob could have really hurt me. Even now, many years later, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night feeling scared and finding it hard to breathe. My name is Jack. One evening, my buddy, who I'll call Mike for this story, was all by himself at home. His parents had gone out for some work event. He rang me up and was like, "Hey, you want to come over and stay the night?" So I hopped on my bike and went over to his place around 7:45 p.m. I went in through the garden entrance and the kitchen door. After saying hi, we thought, why not get some pizza? So we ordered one and then sat down to play some fun video games. After a while, we got a bit tired of playing, so we decided to watch a movie. But halfway through, we felt like doing something mischievous. We thought it'd be funny to ring some doorbells and then run away before anyone could see us. We had a good laugh and then decided to head back to Mike's. But as we got back, we suddenly heard a loud knock on his front door. We were startled, but when we checked, no one was there. Instead, there was a piece of paper. The note on it said, "Watch out, I'll be back." Freaked out, we quickly shut the door and locked it up tight. Now, Mike's place has 2 floors, just to give you an idea. We were trying to calm ourselves down, thinking maybe it was just someone from our school pulling a joke on us. There was this silly prank challenge happening among our classmates, so it kinda made sense. But as we were watching the movie again, we heard the doorknob turn. The memory of that eerie note rushed back. We dashed up to Mike's room on the 2nd floor. "Dang it, I totally forgot to double-check the locks," I told him. Just then, we heard the garden gate make a noise. Mike whispered to me, urging me to make sure it was locked. As I went to check the kitchen door, I spotted a tall figure's shadow through the glass. But it didn't look like he noticed me. Mike quietly came to me, and I gestured for us to get back to his room. We tried to barricade his door with some stuff, but it didn't even have a lock. Mike's parents were super strict. I told him to maybe call the police or his folks, but he was too scared of getting grounded for having me over without permission. So we decided to slide under his bed and hope for the best. It felt like forever as we listened to what sounded like someone tearing the house apart. Doors slamming, glass shattering, things getting thrown around. The most chilling part? We started hearing footsteps slowly coming up to the 2nd floor. The door to Mike's room creaked open. There were sounds of the closet being rummaged through and clothes being shifted. Time felt like it was dragging on. The big blanket on Mike's bed reached the floor, so unless someone actually lifted it, we'd remain hidden. After what felt like hours, I whispered, "Mike, do you think we could sneak out now?" But before he could even answer, something or someone yanked Mike from our hiding spot. I'll never forget the sheer terror in his scream. I realized right then I had to act, or we were in serious trouble. I crawled out and saw Mike trying to free himself from this massive, scary-looking guy. In a frantic state, I went around searching for something, anything to defend us. My eyes landed on a screwdriver. I raced back to where the man was, holding the screwdriver tightly. With all my strength, I pushed it into him. He screamed loudly and let Mike go. We didn't waste any time. We ran straight for the backyard, which was next to a really big and dark forest. We found a spot with some bushes near the start of the forest to hide. Soon, we saw the man come out. He had a knife now, probably from Mike's kitchen. Even though it was dark, I felt like he was looking right at us. Mike whispered, "Man, we should get out of here." I whispered back, "Why leave now? We've come this far." But Mike said, "He's getting closer." He was right. The man was running our way. I don't know how he saw us in the darkness. Mike's house was out in the country, so the closest house was far away. As we ran, my chest hurt and I tripped over something on the ground. Mike stopped to help me up, but the man was getting nearer. I saw him clearly now. He was wearing a big black hoodie and white pants. But then something strange happened. For some reason, he didn't see us this time. He ran in the opposite direction. We didn't stop to think about it. We just ran even faster. I was getting tired, and I felt like someone was following us. We got to Mike's gate and locked it. Earlier, Mike didn't want to call for help because he was afraid of getting in trouble. But now things were way too dangerous. I told Mike to call the police. It was about time. He finally agreed, and we called them. While we waited, I thought I'd check if the man was still around. It was super dark, but I had a flashlight. I turned it on and pointed it at the forest. I saw a tall shadow. I was sure he'd come running at us, but he didn't. Instead, he just turned and ran deeper into the forest. Soon the police came. They looked around Mike's place but didn't find the man. We did find the knife from the kitchen, though. The police said they'd look into it, but we didn't hear much after that. I think that man is still out there causing trouble. So that's the story of the night me and Mike had a really close call. Everyone, please be careful. Always lock up your house. It might just save your life one day.